Welcome everyone to our video with Shopware and NETFORMIC. I'm Susie Fitz. I'm from Dotdigital. I'm a marketing associate here and I run our webinars and on-demand webinars and all of our online content here in America. Um, and today we're going to be talking about the advantage of AI for B2B segmentation. Let me give you a quick preview of our agenda and we'll get into welcome and intros. Today, we're going to start with some data strategy from NetFormic, and then Shopware will dive into how it all begins on your storefront, and then Dotdigital will talk about your data and how to kind of put that all together at the end. And with that, I'd love to do some quick intros with everybody. John, do you want to kick us off?
Sure thing. Keep it dot digital to dot digital first. Nice to meet everyone. My name's John Green. I'm one of the solutions consultants here in the Americas. As mentioned by the slide here, I'll be talking a little bit about data and segmentation within dot digital, but that'll also depend on the work from NetFormic and Shopware. So I'll toss it to Rob to introduce himself.
Thanks so much, John. I'm Rob Newman. I'm one of the two managing partners at NetFormic USA. We are a e-commerce and data-centric specific agency in the United States. We're part of a global agency in Europe and the United States. We love working on everything that's data-centric, which is why I think this is going to be a great chat.
Thanks for coming, Rob. We're happy to have you. And Jason, let's do your intro.
Hello, I'm Jason Nias, General Manager at Shopware. Shopware is a market-leading e-commerce platform focused on complex commerce. And that means businesses that have unique complexity in their business, whether you're B2C in the regulated industry space, or whether you're a wholesaler or a distributor and you've got unique workflows and business processes that are proprietary and you need to preserve. So that's Shopware. We're the fastest growing platform in North America. Got about 50,000 clients and thrilled to be partners with both Dotdigital and NetFormic. We're more of a blue color. You guys are more pink, but we love you anyway.
We love the pink over here. Thank you for coming, Jason.
We love
I'm
it
gonna
too.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because this is gonna be more of a conversational video for anyone that's listening. So if you are listening in the car, like a podcast, feel free to lock in. We've got fantastic content for you today. With that, we're gonna get started with NetFormic. I'm gonna lead it over to Rob. Rob, could we talk about maybe why historical data is your easiest win?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, regardless of what the stock market said, where past performance is not indicative of future results, the truth is to get to know your customers, you need to stay on top of them and you need to understand the data trail that they have left all over your website, all over with your CRM, and understanding how they interact with every piece of marketing, every salesperson in terms of the conversations they have with you and what their real needs are. In the B2B space, which is what we primarily service, right? People are coming to check you out for a reason, right? It's not a random shopping effort. Therefore, the information that they're using along the way is highly specific to things that they're looking for. So what can we learn from it, right? We can begin to understand, right, what are the newest things they're looking for, obviously the highest selling, but also the behavior of how they interact with your website. Whether that's they're most interested in price becomes very quickly apparent, features because they're interacting with your PDFs and specifications, where they're looking at drawings, all the way to do they have questions at the moment. And yet, while normally you're able to pull these things and kind of group people today, the benefit of AI right now is that we are creating one-to-one relationships. I understand you specifically. And not only am I just able to understand your past performance, but out of that, I will likely understand what your next step is. And so AI gives this structured predictability where I can actually craft what your next step is in terms of the next communication or the next page or the next product or what you like to look at, and begin to serve that up in a very structured manner. Now, how do we do that, right? What we do is collect data, right? Everything we've been doing forever, and everyone talks about the death of SEO. True, right? Everything's going to be AI. Now, I barely use Google anymore. It's more about we've always had questions. Questions and dialogue is the most important thing in sales, right? As a salesperson, I'm always like, am I listening? Am I hearing what the customer has? We have this opportunity now with data to listen to what the customer is looking for. What are the search terms they're putting in? We specialize in predictive search, understanding what's most likely, but then actually translating into that, what are the related products? What are the things that, based on their historical purchase capabilities, they want to purchase again? How often should we serve these things up? This is a tremendous use of AI in its predictive capabilities because it's math. Math, AI is pretty good at. There are plenty of things it's not good at, but math, it's excellent at. And it's able to take a look at all this information so that we can understand where are your hangups, right? We use a specific set of software called WebEyes. There's a lot of competitors out to it, but we actually look at where is the hangup, where is there friction in the buying process, and where does it stop you from moving forward? Here is where we're able to come in and provide either, okay, if there's this kind of friction, what is this kind of solution requiring? That is possible because of using AI. And one of the most exciting things, right, is in platforms, AI is huge. And not surprisingly, NETFORMIC is deeply tied in with Shopware, Dotdigital, and then another partner that we're really tight with is Pimcore. All three functioning around data, but all three having unique AIs that we take advantage of in providing the best experience for your customer and prospect, but also to allow you to make sense of data in simple reporting, simple capabilities of being able to interpret that data. I think things get too complex sometimes because, we want to impress someone. I like to keep it simple. And out of that, what we find out is, what do you need to nurture? Who do you need to communicate to? And what is it that's going to tip them over in buying? Like, sitting there forever in a shopping cart is very, very common with a B2B client. They just load up the cart because they're searching for things. And you get this 50 item cart where all they're doing is looking at it. And then they go away on vacation. What happened to their cart? How do I entice them to come back? How do I make sure that we're providing the best capability of actually retaining that cart? Is it through persistence, or is it through some intelligent use of Dotdigital's capability to communicate, whether that's across a text, an email, you name it, we'll get it to you and remind you to come back, and let's sort through, what do you really need? What do you need on an automatic recurring purchase basis? Or maybe you have changed your mind, but let's suggest an alternative. Those are the kinds of reasons why data, historical data in particular, is absolutely critical to being effective in the buying process today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made some really interesting points. I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you think there's a way to not come off as maybe creepy or invasive in this process? I think at the beginning we mentioned it's kind of everywhere. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, creepy is clear. We get creepy emails all the time, right? Look, here's where human beings will remain in control. Everyone talks about AI replacing everything. Trust is the currency of today. We have deep fakes, we have this, we have that. Trust is where it doesn't become creepy. if you approach on a fact-based, this is what, we're trying to help you, here's what's happened, right? For example, we really appreciate you coming, thanks for your items, we just want to check, are you still interested? If you are, we'd love to give you a 5% discount on one item, your biggest item or whatever. Margins are thin in distribution. But being able to make it relevant, trustworthy, and appropriate is not creepy. Saying, I watched you crawl across my website and I've never talked to you before is very creepy. So, and people don't like it, right? So, when I was doing some marketing, I used to call it, eye to eye, hand to hand, face to face. There is a process in which you approach your communication with someone. And, the first thing a salesperson doesn't do is they walk in and go, how much do you want to buy? Let's not do that on a website either. Let's start with answering questions, providing information, and being collaborative and supportive instead of creepy.
No, I agree. I think that was a great answer. And, before we dive into like the shopware and e-commerce platform of it all, could we maybe define some different segments for B2B companies that they could, if they haven't already, could start making or look into making with their historical data?
Yeah, look, I think that's a great way to say it right there. Segments, or we used to use the word personas. I think everything's one-to-one now, but there are certain segments of groups, right? You have technical buyers, you have purchasing agents, you have decision makers or people with purchasing influence. The web has become so rich in terms of its information, right? You don't do sales the way you used to. It's more than likely the first time anyone is talking to you, all they want is information. And AI, chat, AI communication is outstanding to help do that, as well as guide someone to actually talking to a human being. I think that the key thing is you need to understand, your particular buyer. So I'll give you a pharmaceutical example, right? There are pharmacists, there are like nerdy pharmacists who only research stuff, pharmacist owners. There are obviously techs. There are people who are doctors, medical doctors looking for information. There's a variety of groups. And you need to understand what kind of data do they need. You can absolutely collect this today on your website and understand their interactions. And then what is their personal interest? You'll begin to collect that on a one-to-one basis. The way we do that, for example, is we collect users in an account. We begin to create an account type, who's in that account, who is interacting, and what are the things they've done. There are ways to do it and still not creepy.
I think that's what people want, is just not to be creepy and
I
invasive.
actually agree.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, well, amazing. I think that was a great start into like the higher level of what we're going to chat about for the rest of the video. Rob, you are welcome to chime in at any point too. I kind
We
of wanted to
will.
move in, definitely will. I wanted to move into chatting with Jason about Shopware and like where it all begins at the e-commerce platform. Um, Jason, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, I don't know that that's where it begins. I
Yeah.
actually think that data quality is the new competitive advantage. Companies with clean product information, rich attributes, customer history, inventory accuracy, pricing logic, that stuff's going to outperform companies with poor data. So I think that's where the story really begins. Garbage in, garbage out. This is just accelerating that story.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that take. Yeah, Rob.
I love this. Let me give a commercial real quickly. That's why we do what's called data perfect. So we make sure the data is there and that it's perfect. That Jason is 100% correct. 100%. I agree with you.
Amazing. Jason, do you want to like add on to that on the e-commerce platform afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the classic way of thinking about customers is personas. Whether you're in B2B or B2C, you've ultimately, I used to be a CMO, and everybody kind of creates these customer groups and personas and builds plans of attack around them. The power of AI, as everyone is already knowing and discovering, is that you can now individualize pricing, merchandising, search results, recommendations, content, you name it. And so every engagement has the potential to be an N equals one kind of scenario. And that's ultimately the marketer's dream. I mean, I graduated from Iowa State with a marketing degree, and the dream of marketers was always mass dynamic personalization. And again, B2B and B2C are very, very different, but some principles do connect. That is certainly one of them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Rob, did you want, or John, did you want to add something? I heard an Okay, cool. Um, Amazing. So, do you want to add like onto that when it comes to like tailoring the buying experiences?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. Well, so first of all, I think yes, the storefront is kind of where it starts and where people engage with your brand. And we talked a little bit about the opportunity to do a lot of dynamic personalization. That's absolutely true. But I also think this moment of AI and B2B is we can actually talk about using it as the moment to empower the sales reps. The sales reps today for B2B organizations represent roughly 90 to 95% of the revenue that these companies go deliver. Yet only about 35% of their time is spent selling. That means that two-thirds of their time is spent not selling, chasing down customer issues, negotiating internal processes, traveling, whatever it is. Okay. And so the big unlock is how you can utilize AI to eliminate a lot of that blue collar work done by those white collar people to not to win back time so they can go and better serve your customers. So putting more information about segmentation and recommendations and pricing policies and margin profiles in front of those sales reps so they can be better and faster at their job. One of the things that we're seeing in Shopware, it's not necessarily related to AI, but this concept of a digital sales room, which Shopware has, essentially brings all the power of the automation, the in-person value of how companies like to sell, and it makes that process about 3 times more efficient. So
Mhm.
that's one of the big trends that we're seeing is in B2B, how do we enable sales reps to make more money? If you do that, they'll adopt it. Oh, and by the way, that's the fastest path for a return on investment for merchants. I know Rob's got a strong opinion on this topic. So Rob, there's some raw meat for you.
Thanks. Thanks, Jason. Well, we believe in it too, right? We are building out digital sales room for a client where the entire reason is to enable sales reps, right? How do we bring people back in an age of AI? How do we create conversation when everything is measured and everything is data driven? There's great things about that. And yet, at a certain point, trust is only built by people. And so what we're doing is allowing the customization and the interaction where there's a few opportunities. One, if someone's having a problem, right? I don't want, to call United Airlines and talk to their AI. I want to talk to a person. I far prefer it because they can solve the problem faster.
Yep.
The same thing with your B2B company, your B2C company. There is a point where they just say, it's so much faster. I just want my question answered. That's one use of the digital sales room. Hey, I see you're having a problem. Let me share my screen. Let me get in here. Let me show you products. Let me explain. The second is around training, right? Video training is nice, but having someone guide you, if you have a new client, right, or a new customer, we're actually setting up training tool where they can go in and I'll give you a tour of the website. I'll show you where everything is now that you're our new client. And you've essentially now given white glove treatment in a low cost way with a person. That will increase buying. If they know where to buy, how to find, and that you have it, they can buy it. I always say if they can't find it, they will not buy it from you. It's that simple. It's really, really easy. DSR is a great tool to help you do that.
Well, let me take that a little bit further. So I think one of the things we've kind of lost sight a little bit is AI's job is done right should be to remove friction, not create more conversations. And a lot of people are talking about these conversational commerce bots, which are great. They're very useful, but they're creating conversations, and that's too narrow of a view. The best AI often disappears. It autofills forms, it finds products instantly, it
Mm.
predicts reorder quantities, it suggests compatible products, it writes product descriptions, translates contents, detects fraud. You get it. The where it becomes really, really interesting how you marry up this concept of AI should be invisible, but also empowering sales for digital sales rep rooms for reps. Think about an AI sales assistant that already knows contract pricing, that knows purchase history, that understands inventory level and availability, that knows what replacement parts are available for the products that you already own, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, this is that great big unlock. It's not about will AI change the world we do business? Of course it will. It's about trying to find those places that it can do it silently and it can make people more efficient.
Yeah,
Jason?
that's that's dead on, Jason. It's almost like you know this industry. You're the king. That's fantastic. I completely agree. Invisibility is a cool concept. I hadn't heard it expressed that way, and I love it. Um, every time I have to re-enter information, it drives me crazy. I mean, I just gave you the information. Why do I have to redo it? And the same in friction. Right now, we're working on payments, right? So credit card payments, BCI compliance. I'm still able to deliver my credit card information securely, and it appears, but not my ACH information. And in B2B, ACH is more likely than a credit card. So why isn't that happening? Why do I have to constantly re-input things? Why do I constantly have to be concerned about the security? AI is one way that really, really will change that. And
Yeah.
I love it
Yeah, Jason, I feel like you took the thoughts out of my head. The way I've been thinking about AI lately, I liked the way you phrased it as invisible. So
completely.
that was really
Yeah.
interesting. Um, Before we move on to our last section with John Green, is there anything else you want to add about like digital sales tools, anything else about the e-commerce platform, that we didn't dive into quite yet?
Well, no, I think just the one framing that I would want to make really clear is that don't think about AI as replacing people. Think about AI as increasing leverage.
Yeah.
Help sales reps become more productive, help merchandise faster, uh, developers automate repetitive work. This is about the big unlock of new leverage for your employees, not the replacement of them.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I think that's totally on point. To bring it to a little different point, we have clients, everyone uses Amazon, even in B2B. I want Amazon, right? Well, Amazon will provide, suggested products, but the truth is, with data and AI, we're doing a better job of bundling and a better job of providing alternative or related products than Amazon is, right? Or certainly Netflix when I want to look at, I'd like another, period drama. I don't want a sci-fi flick, and they just throw up stuff that I've watched before. That's where the danger of past data is, or trying to push something as if it's what you want. The one-to-one personalization and being able to truly use data to close the gap on accuracy is important and invisible. I'm going to use that. I'm stealing it from you, Jason.
You steal it from me, it's been stolen twice.
Amazing. Okay, John, this might be a moment I want to also preface for our listeners. This might be a moment you want to look at your screen. John will be sharing his screen. Um, John, you're going to chat about like putting this all together, all these concepts together, on a platform like Dotdigital. Yeah, do you want to talk about like automating all of this?
Yeah, not to say Jason and Rob have stolen my thunder, but they've covered a lot of the great topics and areas of interest right now in AI. But like to echo a lot of their points and set this up, you're going to be in a number of situations through the B2B sales process where there's a ton of uncertainty. There's a lot of noise. There's just a situation where you don't have the clarity that you're looking for. And when you have your information in the different systems, there are data silos and things aren't kind of coming together. That's the exact problem, that having it all in one location and centralizing everything so that you have a complete picture of your customer, your client, that's going to kind of open up those insights to basically give AI the ability to be the harness that Rob was talking about, that can get those insights, can take away that pain, that uncertainty, that moment where you or your sales rep are sitting there scratching your head saying, what's the next answer? And you have all of that data coming from your ERP, from your e-commerce platform, from your CRM, sitting in one location, and you can start going from those broad personas and being more and more personalized. I will push back as I start sharing my screen to a little bit of Rob saying that everything is, going to be one-on-one. I, as a guy named John Green, I know there's many John Greens out there in the world. I'd like to think I'm unique and original, but sometimes there's some trends, there's some commonalities, there's behaviors. If you like The Office, you're probably going to like Parks and Rec. And starting with those is at least a starting point, and general trend is where your team can kind of get your teeth into it, and then use AI to get deeper, to start going from 100 to 100 to maybe 50 to 50 to 20 to 20, and get down to being one-on-one. Because frankly, if you're staring at a screen like this, sometimes there's a lot going on. You've got all your data coming over from Shopware. You've got all the order history over time. And I'm not going to go through each one of these manually and figure out every single detail and trend. But AI kind of opens up and gives you that option to kind of moneyball the situation. And Dotdigital tries to incorporate Winston, our predictive analytics and AI system, as much as possible. Also opens us up for MCPs in the back end to use Claude and the like to kind of, riff and figure out those trends and behaviors. But generally speaking, you're sitting here with Steven and you're scratching your head. How can I get those insights? And personas are a great way to kind of start at a high level. Dotdigital takes those and the data that we're getting, whether it's the products they've purchased, the data points that we have on the contact record, and we'll try and understand from a recency, frequency, and monetary value, who's active, who's inactive, try and figure out those behaviors over time so you can kind of roughly figure out, we had this person that was a champion, a consistent purchaser, and it's trained, of course, on y'all's data as it comes into the system, and specifically y'all's data, not anyone else's. And then, of course, going from there, sorry, I used a invalid date to try and do that. Move this back here. You could, of course, basically see the trends and changes over time. And those give you just at least a little idea of figuring out, hey, these people that are becoming consistent and loyal, let's figure out what they did and have AI investigate those behaviors. Let's figure out why these champions that were consistent with us are no longer part of the fold. Or alternatively, just coming up with some ideas to figure out, based on those personas, smaller buckets. So going from 100 to 100 to that medium ground of 20 to 20, finding all the contacts that are showing those intent behaviors, that are going and visiting the website, that are signing up for forms, that are reaching out to sales reps, clicking on emails, doing the things that individually aren't enough to basically say, I should be calling this person right now, but using AI to find that key persona or that key profile so that you can then give them one-to-one attention or engagement from a sales perspective as well. Realize that was a big monologue for me, but Rob or Jason, any initial thoughts there?
Well, it's a beautifully powerful dashboard, and it's really, really performant. I'm kind of just taking in how fast everything is.
Thanks. Yeah, the system really tries to just get that initial, moment of I don't know what to do right now, and make it so that you guys can kind of rip in and do what you need to. But it's all about creating that clear next step, that hesitancy that a lot of people kind of encounter, and kind of knock down those barriers of having all your data in one spot. And that's the kind of insight that, working with, NETFORMIC to get all those systems into one connection, to have all your data from a sales perspective in Shopware, and then pushing in to also support the marketing side of things. You get a massive flywheel going where everything's speaking together beautifully.
Well, and what I love about it is around your segmentation, right? You're really able to see where moments of friction are happening, right? How are you losing a champion? And what is that data set, right? Being able to do it visually and
Yeah,
easily, right? I mean, we are overwhelmed with data all the time. The visual capability that a marketer can come in here and understand what's going on with the variety of their customers is really important, right? There's still a place for simplicity, visual capabilities, where the AI is invisible.
exactly. And then of course, it's always kind of a click away within the system. You want it to be there and helping, but like augmenting your team and their capabilities. Like I can go build a segment by hand. I can always generate a segment that is a one-to-one match of Steven and have the AI build out all of the criteria that I could drag over by hand and do myself. But when the data is all there, that's the kind of layer that an AI thrives. Structured reciprocals of all of that information in one spot makes it so it's super easy for them to basically say, here's the trends, here's the money ball situation that you guys are missing. You're shooting too many mid-range twos, go behind the arc and kind of get that access and insights that you're looking for. And it's a great starting point. Alternatively, though, like we want to empower marketers to do what they're hoping for. So within the segmentation tool, I can always come here and manually choose a segment and let the AI templates kind of do the light lifting, so to speak. But alternatively, I can also just come in here and use our new segment agent that we released recently to come in and type in what I'm looking for in the same way that you go to Claude or ChatGPT and say, find me all customers with an order from the last 30 days that visited this URL, which I can make up one at dotdigital.com. If I can spell, oh boy. Let's say home improvement as the vertical for whatever reason. Um, and they have a industry of hardware. The AI can then take those text generated prompts and also go ahead and build out a query that matches it. So not only do you have all of your data in one spot, not only can you naturally talk to it, you're accessing everything that's going to exist from those other systems that you're connecting in. You can now use us as kind of that data layer to generate and find those queries. If there is an invalid rule or an issue, it'll always warn you. But as you can kind of see here, data field must be equal to hardware. The number of records for each contact and the web insights is greater than or equal to 0. And of course, they've purchased an item between June 9th and today on July 10th. All just using text in a natural way, saving you the time from having to try and manually stitch these together. And of course, you can create this and compare it to another segment and find those key groups of folks and be more one-to-one, as Rob was saying earlier.
Awesome.
Yeah, this puts a lot of power in somebody's hand, and you don't have to know how to code. You don't have to know how to think about anything other than, as a marketer, how would I want to look at the data? This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've never met a marketer that's been able to get through their entire to-do list. So the fact that you're able to bring a lot of this automation and powerful tooling and insights really helps them work on the more strategic things because you've automated a lot of the mundane.
Yeah. And it's just like the small hours you're losing fine tuning and tooling to try and find the right query when you can just kind of ask an all-seeing AI to do it for you. It's that level of friction that kind of echoes what you guys were talking about earlier. You want to take away those day-to-day points, the time that the sales reps and the marketers are spending just kind of hitting their head against a wall trying to make something work or find the right vein or trend that's ongoing. And having your data in one spot, having the right system in place is kind of key to kind of remove that pain.
Yeah. Amazing.
Perfect.
Well, thank you guys. I really liked what you said. John, you said it, empower the marketer. Um, and Jason, you said it. You said empower the sales rep. And I feel like a large theme of this is making sure your marketing and your sales channels are like talking to each other. And AI is super helpful in alleviating stress, alleviating the bits and bobs of some of these like segment builders and things on your e-commerce website. So, um, I feel like you guys made some really great points. Is there anything you'd want to tell someone watching this video right now, like what they could walk away with right now, or something they could do today that they haven't been doing, an easy place to start. Is there any advice you'd give anybody?
I'll go
Yeah.
first.
No, go ahead, Jason. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
to me, it's we're in this what I'll call early innings of amazing transformation of the way that business is done digitally, and really trying to find companies that are forward thinking is really important in how to kind of transform and not be too rigid because the future is very, very fluid. The second is to find and work with technology partners that are built for this moment. Old tech that's from the early 2000s, 2010s probably isn't going to make the turn for you and your business. So work with people you like and trust that have the tools of tomorrow, not yesterday. Those would be my two core things. And I know Dotdigital's in that group. I know Shopware is, and I know the great people at NETFORMIC are high on the like and trust scale.
Oh, thank you very much, Jason. I would encourage people not to be overwhelmed, right? When we come out and we do these talks and these demos, we're always talking about these great things. And I think that, you know, I will walk into a customer and they're not there. That's okay. It's our job to help you get there. But the main thing is to start, right? The growth and speed of these AI tools is so fast that by starting, you can catch up. The mistake is not to start or to be overwhelmed. You start simple, you walk, and then you run, right? Um, so I encourage people find out, get the information, watch webinars, even ask AI about ways to start. But start and then move forward on modernizing and utilizing tools that are going to wind up saving you a lot of time. And out of anything, I think that is a big part of it.
Yeah, I would completely echo that, Rob. The phrases that we use often is crawl, walk, run, just to basically go through that same progression of just figure out your biggest pain point right now. What is your team losing the most time on? Is it not having the right system? Are the systems not communicating in a way that you guys are having to manually act as that middle point? Figure out those things that you'd like to automate or work through, and then solve those first, and then start branching out into the more complex. We always show the basics of the system and the high end options that you can get into once you know the exact routes and your ideal customer profiles and everything. And that will take time, but doesn't mean you shouldn't start today with the small, simple stuff or the big problems.
Cool.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you anyone who's watching this video today. You will be getting an automated triggered email when you watch this video with the recording, so you can watch it any other time you want. And everybody's contact information will be on here, Dotdigital, NETFORMIC, and Shopware. I want to thank you all for joining us and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.
Well,
Yay. Okay. It's over. I'm gonna click stop
Ah,
recording.
I'm mad at myself.